1919 was an auspicious year in history. The First World War ended, ushering a drastic change in the world order. The Philippine Islands had been a U.S. territory for 2 decades and was promised independence under the Jones Law of 1916. Progressive reformers saw the country and its people as a major target for modernization, and education was its main weapon. 7 forward-looking Filipinas came together in 1919 to create a school where young women could gain the knowledge and skills that would make them modern women. Paz Marquez Benitez was the first president of the Philippine Women's College. Jose Abad Santos was its first chairman of the Board of Trustees. Francisca Tirona Benitez was the second president, and with her husband Dean Conrado, guided the school from a house on A. Flores Street to its iconic Taft Avenue campus. In 1932, the college became a university, making PWU the first university for women in Asia founded by Asians. It provided a space where innovations in education flourished, and young people were encouraged to be the best that they could be. For over 100 years, the Philippine Women's University has been known as a leader in quality education. In 1934, PWU moved into its main campus on Taft Avenue, and since the 1970s has been co-educational. Located in the heart of Metro Manila, it is easily accessible by public transport and surrounded by affordable housing. Today's PWU offers undergraduate and graduate courses in several fields of study. Its business and management programs are responsive to the needs of industry, using evolving technology for global competence. PWU graduates excel in arts and sciences, education, social work, and diplomacy. Its fine arts and music programs have produced outstanding graduates through a holistic education that treasures heritage as well as excellence. PWU has pioneered in fields such as food science, nutrition and dietetics, medical technology, pharmacy, and nursing. PWU continues to play an essential role in producing graduates who possess the skills that make them competitive in the country and anywhere in the world.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, Carol. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hello.
Good
Yes.
afternoon, Dean Prime. Hi, good afternoon. The Graduate School of Hospitality Management of the Philippine Women's University welcomes you to this virtual Advanced Facilities Planning and Design webinar entitled Visions of Champions, Resilience, Advanced Facilities Planning webinar entitled Visions of Champions, Resilience of the Hospitality Industry Amidst Pandemic. Thank you for joining us today. And my name is Carol Martinez, and with me is Sir Arnold. We will be your moderators for this afternoon. Hello there, Sir Arnold. I bet you are excited for today's webinar as well.
Yes, good afternoon, Ma'am Carol. It is an exciting afternoon for us as we eager to learn from our invited hospitality and industry experts. It's an honor and privilege to have them with us today. Welcome to our participants streaming live via Facebook and YouTube. I heard that we will also be giving away prizes later. Watch out for that. But before we get overwhelmed by our excitement towards webinar, let us offer this event to our Almighty Father to remind us of His presence and generous grace as we offer an opening prayer for God's blessings and guidance. This will be led by Mr. Eugene Gaviola, and this will be followed immediately by the singing of our Philippine national anthem.
We begin this prayer by putting ourselves in the presence of our Lord. Our ever-loving Father, the core of every reason, the source of truth, you who made the earth and the heavens, are the ultimate goal of every knowledge seeker. The infinite wisdom, the cause of all that is good. We are truly grateful for this opportunity to gather together in this webinar as community. Despite the challenges we face each day, yet you remain and give us strength to carry on the responsibilities of bearing intelligence and using them for better purposes. We now humbly ask you to join us in our endeavor to explore the wonders of life and the world for knowledge change. That in whatever we learn today, we become more grateful, grounded to you, who is truth, who is love. We pray that you bless our speakers, the fount of your infinite knowledge, that they can share something worthwhile. Despite the limited time we have, they can channel all they know and share to us the beauty and truth of living as your child. We pray that you guide our participants, the seekers of your boundless knowledge, that they may continue to persevere in the search and be deemed worthy to share what they will learn from today's session. Sanctify us, O Lord, not because we are worthy of it, but because we believe in your love and mercy, that at the end of today, we can take something that's amazing and meaningful. This we ask and pray through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you very much, Sir Eugene. There you have it. And before we start this very efficacious webinar, we are honored to have with us today our dynamic and compassionate leader of the Philippine Women's University, President Marco Alfredo M. Benitez.
Good afternoon to the organizers and participants of this webinar, led of course by Dr. Prime Abellana, Dean of the PW School of Hospitality Management and Tourism, and our students from the Graduate School of Hospitality Management. At this point, we already know for a fact that the tourism and hospitality industry has been among the most severely affected industries by the global pandemic. The UNWTO, as early as December 2020, after a 72% decline in tourist arrivals, from Jan to October of 2020, forecasted that a return to 2019 levels would not happen earlier than 2023. More recently, due to the uneven rollout of vaccines, particularly in parts of Asia, more experts have made an even more dire forecast that tourism and travel would not return to pre-pandemic levels until at least 2024 or 2025. Locally, this was reflected by the Department of Trade and Industry's report of a 96% decline in tourist arrivals from Jan to June 2021 versus the same period last year. Add to this the National Economic Development Authority's report of 4.3 trillion pesos in total losses for the country in 2020 and an estimated 41.4 trillion pesos in present and future losses over the next 10 to 40 years as a result of the pandemic, then the future seems quite bleak. However, as we've also seen around us, many industries and companies have found ways to adapt and have actually used this pandemic as an opportunity to either pivot their business model by repackaging their brand, catering to a new market segment, or even implementing innovative and technology-driven solutions to adapt to the protocols and standards necessary to do business in the middle of a pandemic. While we have seen many businesses close due to significant losses, we've also seen some prominent players in the hospitality industry make this pivot. Even high-end hotel chains have turned themselves into quarantine hotels for returning inbound travelers. Popular restaurant brands who previously never did food deliveries have partnered with third-party consolidators like Grab and Foodpanda, and have even made changes to the way they package and serve their offerings just to better cater to the takeout and delivery segment. Similarly, as more scientific data came out on the airborne nature of the virus, establishments both in the food service and hospitality industry were quick to transform their facilities and invest in the needed equipment to have more ventilation, improve air circulation and filtration, and maximize on outdoor open spaces to lessen the risk of transmission. The same is true for schools and universities such as ourselves. From the onset of the pandemic, the shift to remote emergency learning, then flexible learning, together with the adherence to the health and safety protocols established by the government health agencies, were all for the sake of keeping our community safe while allowing education to continue. Cleaning and sanitation protocols all over campus, and particularly for high traffic and high touch areas, were established. Even regular disinfection through the use of medical grade UV light was practiced. Classroom capacity reductions due to social distancing, the reorientation of different areas to one-directional traffic were also instituted. Then, more recently, mechanical interventions to improve ventilation and filtration, such as the installation of exhaust fans to promote the needed air circulation, have been implemented in anticipation of the return to face-to-face classes. Implementing all these changes in terms of physical facilities and on the delivery of education, as more and more data emerged on how to better protect ourselves and how to deliver flexible learning, was challenging to say the least. It was like building the plane while flying it, as one university president succinctly put it. At the end of the day, the mindset was we had to do what was needed in order to survive and deliver on our commitment to education. In like manner, that was also the case for many of the hospitality industry players you see around you who have been able to survive this pandemic so far. The theme of this webinar captures this mindset, vision of champions, because as institutions and as industry practitioners and industry leaders, we have to have a champion's mindset to thrive in a crisis such as this. A mindset that does not settle for excuses, but constantly looks for ways to improve and solve problems that arise. One that is willing to sacrifice for the sake of the greater good and the long-term goal, and one that is willing to set aside individual differences for the sake of the team's success. These are just some of the characteristics that I believe are necessary to succeed in an environment such as the one we have now. I'd like to congratulate the organizers of today's webinar. I'm happy to see that this forum aims to highlight and promote the ideas and best practices of the industry that have allowed it to remain resilient through these challenging times. And I look forward to an insightful and engaging session. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Benitez. We are truly honored to have you with us today. But before we proceed to the very part of this webinar, may I please remind everybody for our house rules. Number one, Please ensure a stable internet connection. Second one, rename your account using the following format: your school name followed by your name. Third, make sure that your microphone and camera is turned off for the whole duration of the event. Fourth, please avoid logging in and out of the virtual room. Number 5, there will be a 5-minute question and answer session after the 3 speakers' presentation. You may post your questions or comments on the FB Live, wherein I think you're streamed right now. For the evaluation form, kindly click the link on the chat box or the QR code, which will be seen at the last part of the presentation. Please note that only registered participants who completed the evaluation form will receive the e-certificates. Submission of the forms or the evaluation forms will only be until tomorrow, October 31 at 12 noon. Thank you very much.
Let us have now our national anthem.
Kayang magiging, pero saan sinanganan? Alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyat ka ng magiting. Sa manlulupig, di ka pasisiin. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bukaw. May dilagang tulad, awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kisap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdiligdig. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidinig. Lupa ng araw ng walhati pagsintabay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya na pag may mga ami ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Moving right along to the primary objectives of our productive day, we now have Mr. Rodolfo Lumage to introduce to us our first speaker for today, who will be propounding on maintaining the hotel and restaurants ambience while adhering to COVID-19 guidelines.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am very excited to introduce our guest speaker for this afternoon because the topic that he is going to share with us is very timely and relevant, especially in this time of pandemic. Lee Majors Fagilan is a hotelier, professor, and a world traveler. He finished his Bachelor of Science in Hotel and Restaurant Management at the Polytechnic University of the Philippines, Manila. Masters of Management degree at the University of the Philippines, Baguio, and currently finishing his PhD degree at St. Louis University. He is a customer service management and business development consultant for hotels, resorts, schools, and even hospitals. He was the hotel operations and development consultant for Lafayette Luxury Suites Hotel and Resorts, and currently works in 2 upcoming beachside resorts. As an academician, he was chosen as one of the 10 outstanding hospitality and tourism educators in Baguio way back 2013. A multi-awarded hotelier, he was pioneer of the Discovery Hotel Group, started as guest services assistant, and worked his way up the corporate ladder. He's the public relation officer and a member of the National Board of Directors of the Council of the Hotel and Restaurant Educators of the Philippines, and was a director for schools in the Hotel and Restaurant Association of Baguio, or HRAM. He teaches French, Asian, and International Management in the Graduate School and Hotel and Tourism Management subjects in undergraduate studies at St. Louis University. He is a proud plant daddy, photographer, blogger, motivational speaker, environmental advocate, COVID-19 survivor, and a certified guest services professional trainer of the American Hospitality Lodging Educational Institute, and Asia World Hospitality. He has been to 85 countries and territories and over 300 cities around the world, and dreams of visiting all 196 countries within the next 10 years. Ladies and gentlemen, without further delay, let's give a virtual clap to our guest speaker, Mr. Lee Majors Fagelan.
Thank you, Sir Rodolfo Lomage. Very nice introduction. Can you hear me very well?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hi. Good afternoon to all, to the Philippine Women University students, graduate school, to my dear friend, Ma'am Roda, Austria, to my other dear friend, si Sir Ephraim, and to everybody here, to my other co-speakers, magandang hapon, all the way from Baguio City. I'm really very excited for this one kasi I know last month pa yung invitation sa akin, and finally the day has come for me to be able to talk about things that everybody seems to be so interested, no? Kasi for the entire month of October, I've been just talking about these things, how are we doing in the hotel industry? What's going on, what are our protocols, what's happening, what's the trend, what's the current situation, are we going to have a better future, everything's coming, together. So yun yung mga issues natin. I'd like to ask if you can see my PowerPoint presentation already.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. So, adhering to the IATF guideline while maintaining the ambience in the hospitality industry, ambience wise, physically speaking, I'm going to be telling you honestly, it's a drab. One of the saddest situations we ever get to experience, wherever, not only in the hotels that I managed or the ones that I visit, everywhere I go, up until this time, hotels are really sad. Have you ever been to one lately? It's a ghost town. You have front desk staff that is aalog-alog, no? Do you have one front desk staff for a very, very large front desk? And the lobbies are empty, no giggling, no laughing. Everybody seems to be quiet. People are distancing from one another. It has come to a very point where people are really trying to avoid one another. Makikita mo yun. Physically, whenever you check in a hotel or even in the hotels, we tell them, okay, limitahan ng chikahan. Di ba? In the hotels before, standard way of greeting our guests is to say hello, hi, how are you, how was your flight, how's your trip, how's everything, are you enjoying your stay? Right now, as much as possible, you get out of my face immediately. You know what I'm saying? It's like, here's your key, please sign here, 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 and here. And okay, here's your key, go ahead and enjoy your stay. And there are so many things that they cannot do anymore, like room service, or there are hotels that do not offer makeup room services. I'm going to be talking about that later on. So this is the topic that is quite sad as of the moment, but this is something that is also teaching us so many things that at this point in time, if you are an author of a textbook for graduate schools or for the undergrad, if you're teaching housekeeping, if you're writing a book about housekeeping or front office, definitely have to revise it somehow because we're in it for the longest time. We're in it for the longest um, pandemic ever that our generation is going to experience. And if you are that author, there are so many things I'm going to tell you right now or later that is being practiced, and it's totally different from what we were used to do. Okay, so let's continue. All right. So I think I skipped the. Okay. Trends and innovation are dictated by the environment and the foregoing events. Totoo yan. Now, I started in the hotel industry 20 years ago. 20, yeah, that was in 1999. And the service apartment industry, the bigger size hotels, the ones with the kitchen, living room, dining area, started booming because of the advent of women traveler, long staying guests, and whatnot. So whatever is happening in the environment, um, the hotel industry adjusts. Okay, we always adjust. You have the World Trade Center bombing of 2001, and then you have the Boxing Day of 2004, and then the tsunami in 2011. So many things, disasters, natural calamities. You have political turmoil, financial distress, global pandemic. All of these things changes the way we operate our hotels. I've been in this thing since I was a fresh grad, even in my OJT time, until now that I'm already consulting. I was former general manager. So right now, our dictators, if you can call it that, is the IATF. You know, even the city government would have to follow the IATF protocols. You cannot just operate a hotel without IATF telling you what is supposed to do. What are you supposed to be doing, or what are the guidelines? Even the guidelines, maraming guidelines na dumarating sa atin from the grapevine, pero hangga't hindi yan pinapadala ng IATF or hindi yan nire-release from the IATF public relations, hindi siya magiging solid na protocol. So, what is IATF ba? Just to give us a background there. Ako parang, since I started the hotel, uh, preparing for the opening of the hotel, sabi ko, ano ba tong IATF na to? Sino ba sila? So, IATF is an intersectoral collaboration created to establish preparedness and ensure efficient government response to assess, monitor, contain, control, and prevent the spread of any potential pandemic in the Philippines. So there are so many IATF, iba-iba lang ang terminologies in different parts of the world. So many countries come up with the IATF version, but this one is focused on emerging infectious diseases. These are headed by a bunch of military guys, and their consultants are the people from the medical field, and of course in partnership with the Department of Health as well. There are so many government agencies that a hotel or a restaurant has to deal with from time to time, especially at this time. No, you have the ENR still there with you, trying to remind you of recycling, using biodegradable materials and whatnot. And then you have the Department of Tourism. They're literally breathing down your neck. um, they will not let you operate your hotel or your restaurant for that matter if you're not going to be given a seal of approval. And you're going to see some seal of approval later. Then you have the city government. I don't know in your situation, but our city government even inspect our events if we are adhering to the protocols given by the IATF. So they say that next week, 30% of your function room ang allowed na total occupancy or capacity, believe me, you have to follow it. So imagine if 6 months ago you have a bride and a groom to be have arranged a wedding for 200 people, and then here comes a new protocol that just was announced this week. Then you have to trim down your event to just 30%. So as impossible as it may sound, many hotels have already have adapted no to this situation. Medyo sanay na tayo diyan sa mga ganyan. Yun nga lang, ang daming basahin. And basahin, you have to read a lot of protocols, and most of them are written in fine lines and fine print, and ang hirap intindihin, parang you really have to strictly follow. Okay? So there's these agencies that you have to follow, aside from the fact that you have HR people or HR. The HR department has to consult, of course, with DOLE and other stuff. Aside from DOT, syempre, you have to also deal with the, what's the other one? DILG naman, ano? So, medyo may mga pagkakaano yan sa isa't isa. Right? So, products and services were enhanced or customized to attract clients and guests. Ganun pa rin naman yung ating drama sa ating mga hotels. As much as possible, we still want to attract them. We still want to provide them satisfactory services. Tama ba? Hindi pa rin nawawala yan. Pero sa totoo lang, with all of these protocols, magastos siya. Okay? And some of your staff, if not all, has to wear PPEs. Okay? And yung pagpalit-palit lang ng face mask, it's also quite pricey. Face shields. And then, nagpalagay tayo ng mga acrylic barriers sa ating front desk, sa reception, sa bar, pati yung tables natin, di ba may mga acrylic barriers. This costs a lot of money, especially for small, medium enterprises na nagra-run ng mga small hotels, di ba? And then right now, you're also, for those hotels that have makeup room services pa rin, um, imagine cleaning, doing the same procedure plus more for an occupancy of one. You know, kasi nga may mga rooms tayo na hindi pwedeng tatlo, hindi pwedeng dalawa, hindi dapat isa lang, no? But still, you still have to do the same way of cleaning plus more. I'm going to talk about the plus more later on, and believe me, medyo in the long run siguro dapat pag-aralan din to. No? I don't want to scare people, but with so many chemicals that we use in the hotel right now, not just for cleaning surfaces, but the things that we spray, the UVs and everything. I don't know in the long run if it's safe for our people and for all our guests. So, but we still have to follow these protocols for in making sure that everybody's going to be safe when they stay at our hotel establishments. So, what are the current? I'm trying to make it in my 15-minute cut-off point here, so the others will be able to keep their talk also. So, staycations for locals. Ito ang usong-uso ngayon. Stricter protocols. Napaka-strict ng protocols natin. Especially noon, siguro mga same time last year, kung meron mang bukas na hotel dyan, talagang um, paiyakan ang pag-check-in sa hotel. No? Sometime in March, we have a guest from Manila and it was really very difficult kasi nakabook na siya, nakapay na siya, tapos ayaw siyang papasukin ng border ng Baguio City. Mga ganun, no? Yes, negative sila lahat sa RT-PCR, but the fact that they're attending a non-essential event, imagine, they're ninongs and ninang sa kasal. And that is considered non-essential. Ang saklap, di ba? So, non-essential. I am still trying to identify ano ba talaga yung essential and non-essential. Ikakasal ka, non-essential. Magdininong and ninang ka, non-essential. So, that's how the IATF and other government agencies sees these events, anniversaries, celebrations. These are non-essentials, okay? So, staycations for locals is what we do. They have to register. Maraming natutuwa dahil solo nila yung hotel. Imagine, you have a 100-room hotel tapos guest mo lang 50. Siyempre, dahil sa pandemya, maraming naghihikaw sa buhay. Maaaring ang occupancy mo lang out of 100 ay nasa 5%. Tama ba? So you're operating a hotel with all of this electricity, you're paying the security guards, you have Sims, you have the staff, kahit pa paano kailangan pa rin mag-report. And yet, ang occupancy allowed mo lang 30%, 20%. And if there was even a point in time that we had to close down hotels, believe me. And because of the COVID pandemic. So, siguro in the next few months, iba na yung topic natin, no? It's no longer about the IATF kasi medyo luluwag na ang ating protocols. Like Baguio is now open. Let me just remind everybody, if you are fully vaccinated, then Baguio is open for tourists already. So that's a good news for everyone, especially sa ating mga hotels dito, no? Bagsak presyo. One example is the Forest Lodge. The Forest Lodge room rate normally would cost you around 6,000 on a lean season. Pero they had no choice but to give away the rates for about 1.5 per night. And I'm talking about a 40 square meter room na super deluxe, na sobrang ganda. They have very nice linens, they have very nice amenities at 1,500 pesos per night. Imagine that. You have Wi-Fi, very strong Wi-Fi, you have cable TV, all the other stuff that you usually enjoy at the Forest Lodge for only 1,500. Saan makakarating ang 1.5 mo? With an occupancy of what, 30%? That's crazy at some point. But we have to survive. At this point in time, the name of the game is to survive, not even thinking about earning profits anymore. We just have to survive things. Higher level of sanitation and cleanliness. This is the thing that I was talking about a while ago. Our situation is at the point wherein our housekeepers are quite tired, aside from the fact that they are quite scared, aside from the fact that they are also underpaid, in the sense that we have regular employees that are working or reporting for work 3 times a week if they're lucky. There are some hotels that ask their employees to report for work around 6 times per month. How much money are you going to be able to bring home to your families, given these kinds of working schedules? Going back to the higher level of sanitation and cleanliness, without the certifications, without the safe travel certificates, without the safety seal protocols, you cannot operate your hotel. Once you have all of these things, you have to make sure that your hotel has a lot of stickers around it. Like, can you see in this picture? You have stickers on the floor. You have very expensive tiles. You have very expensive walls. They're not marbles. They're Italian stones, very expensive stones. And then you have to put on a lot of stickers just to, inform everybody and reminding them of social distancing and all that. Somehow, in my situation, in my eyes, it's a sore to look at. But we have no choice but to just keep reminding people to step here, step over there, keep your distance, things like that. So is the ambience gonna still maintain? Yes, it's just a matter of perspective. Some foreigners, we have a few guests from France and Europe when we opened in April, and then they were like saying, you know what, you believe too much in the pandemics thing. You believe so much in COVID that you have a very nicely designed hotel with so many stickers on it. And I said, sir, this is the protocol. And he was really, really mad because imagine this guy was from Germany and lived in France for 20 years. And my offering at Lafayette was French cuisine, and then the whole theme of Lafayette is like European inspired decor. And they are so expecting that our, fine dining situation is going to be one of the best in town. But here comes IATF rules saying that you must not spread your tables like fine dining style. You cannot put your plates there yet. You cannot put your cutleries down on the sides and spread it accordingly. The weirdest thing ever is like you have to wrap your spoon and fork and a knife on a plastic bag or a biodegradable paper. That's like an eyesore for me. And then you cannot put all of the glasses on the table, you know. Um, there's so many limitations. It's making your service really ugly, come to think of it. But you have to adhere to the protocol. So where's the ambiance there? So this guy from Germany who lived in France for 20 years, like saying, you really believe so much in COVID. Look at the table setting. I cannot believe it. And then we were restricting our staff to be talking to the guests despite the fact that the staff has a shield and face mask. But of course, since it's a fine dining area or it's a dining area, all of our guests remove their mask, diba? Kasi they're good to eat and they were allowed to do so. So our staff are naman advised to keep their distance. So this guy was like saying, I was trying to talk to your guy, to your staff, but they were, moving away from me and they wouldn't want to talk and I couldn't hear them because of the mask and face shield. But I told them that's protocol. Okay. So that was the entire thing. And then at the end of their meal, there were about 15 of them, expats living in Baguio. There were 15 of them. And they just bid goodbye and said, okay, thanks for that experience. It's lousy, right? But we tried our best to provide them accurate service. But for the smallest of details, like the spoon and fork in a plastic bag, that's ridiculous for them. Okay, so there goes your ambience. There goes your service style par excellence down the drain because of COVID-19. Contactless hospitality. This is literally one of the saddest things. You know, I've been trained the front office way. I was a front office trainer. Um, I was influenced to take up hotel and restaurant management because I fell in love with how the front desk people look like when I was a teenager. I was at the New World Hotel in Makati, and then I saw this guy who was wearing a suit, and then I asked him how to be like you, and then he said you have to take up an HRM course. All right, so that's what I took when I was in first year college because I saw a guy wearing a suit, so I fell in love with the job. But right now, you literally have to change all of your protocols, all of your styles when you teach your front office people or your front office students because you can no longer put out your smile out there. You cannot, brandish your beautiful smiles because you're wearing face masks. Aside from the face mask, again, you have a face shield. And then worst comes to worst, which is no choice, you have an acrylic barrier. That's why at the other side of the front desk, you have a guest trying to tell you, hey, I am checking in at the top of his or her voice because you couldn't hear each other. And here you are at the other side asking the guest, I beg your pardon. You're literally yelling at each other because you barely could hear each other because of all of the barriers. Imagine triple barrier. So where's the ambience there? Where's the hospitality there? Okay. And just like what I told you in the introduction, right now, as much as possible, you check in, you leave the desk. No more chit chats, no more kwentuhan, no more like that. I couldn't help it anymore. Um, this is really, really sad because a lot of our services now are being replaced by automation, by technology. But I've always believed that nothing can replace the warmth of the human touch. Nothing can replace the beauty of our smile. So that is something that I look forward to na yung ating protocols medyo hindi na masyado maigpit so that we're back to entertaining all of our guests. After all, people are part of the ambience. Hindi lang yung physical surrounding mo. Yes, you have very beautiful Christmas decorations. You have everything beautiful at the lobby. But without the presence of your charming, warm, accommodating, hospitable front desk staff, then the ambience goes down the drain again the second time around. Imagine the experience. Imagine the kind of experience a guest is trying to, enjoy in a five-star, four-star hotel situation. So right now is a digitalized guest experience. There are hotels, especially in America, where you can check in while you were still at home. Pwede ka nang mag-check-in. You can have your key, you can receive your smart key the moment you pay in your cell phone or your smartphone. Then you go to hotel without passing through the front desk, without registering anymore. Go to your room and you just have to, tap or just put your phones near the lock set and you're good to go. And then the front desk will receive the message that you've already checked in. All right. So there's no more human interaction. There's no more guest, staff, employee interaction. So all of the things that you're going to do will be at the comforts, sad comforts of your smartphone. So that's it. Okay. And what else? Limited gatherings, solo travelers are encouraged. So ngayon, puro dates na lang. Minsan nga, nakakaasar pa. There was a situation before na magkasama na nga kayo. You have to explain that you literally live inside one house. Diba? Talagang hindi daw kayo pwedeng magkatabi. Dapat diagonal yung pag kumakain kayo sa restaurants. That's really funny at certain points. And then you wanted to tell them that, hey, look at our driver's licenses. It shows the same address. Why do we have to eat diagonally away from each other where we can just eat face to face or side by side, just like a lot of lovers do, diba? So, pero because of a lot of these IATF rules, supported by the city government, pushed and supported also by the Department of Tourism and the Department of Interior and Local Government, with the support of the Department of Health, wala tayong choice kundi pagsumunod sa mga ganitong patakaran. Pero because of our creativity, because of our artistry, because of our dedication in our craft, lahat ng mga bagay na yan, nagagawa natin ng paraan. Eh ano ngayon kung solo travelers? You can still come up with so many things for your solo travelers. You can just, make a limited gathering so unforgettable with the magic touches of your banquets manager, with the touches of your limited number of staff and crew, everything. We're good in this industry. If you're a true blue hotelier, if you're a true blue passionate about the hotel industry, there's no doubt you can conquer everything. That's how we are in this industry. So kahit ano pang sabihin ng IITF, talagang magagawa natin ng paraan because that's how we are. Nothing is impossible. We cannot definitely say no to all of these wonderful things that our guest has to really enjoy while staying at our premises. So regardless of what the IATF says, we really have to maintain our ambience by just doing the best that we can as hoteliers. Yun lang po ang masasabi ko. And maraming salamat. I hope I did not exceed my 15-minute time slot. Thank you very much indeed. Good afternoon.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, Sir Lee Majors Pahilan. I believe really it's a turnaround, sir, in the hospitality and tourism industry. But the silver lining is we can check in a very luxurious hotel for 1,500, right? Okay, I believe our audience, our participants are very excited for that. Sir, we are all vaccinated, I think most of us. So we can't wait to go to Baguio.
Please come up to Baguio.
Yes, thank you, sir.
We need you.
Thank you so much. We will, sir, soon. Okay, so I believe our audience are excited to go up there as well, sir. And they have reserved questions as well, which we will be answering later. We will be throwing that to our distinguished speakers for today. Please reserve that. Sir Arnold, I bet you have a question as well on your mind.
Yeah, that's right, Ma'am Carol. I am actually digesting the points of our speaker have mentioned. So I have noted here some of our speakers' point of view. One is follow the government's rules and regulations. Second is business should survive in spite of challenges like pandemic. And also, there are many limitations and stickers around the building of our tourist destinations. So definitely, I agree with our speaker, Mr. Fajulan, that there is no match for human smile and personal touch, and also warm accommodation. It is part of our guests' enjoyment. This is really the essence of being in the hospitality industry. So the discussions made by Mr. Fajulan are the things that we might have observed in the hospitality industry nowadays. How it is adopted by our guests through health protocols implemented by government, and it's really not easy, I guess. Ma'am Carol?
That's true, Sir Arnold. But sir, before we get hooked so much about Sir Fajulan's presentation, it's time to proceed to our next presenter for today. May we now call on Ms. Shella Corpus Montinola to introduce our second speaker.
A pleasant afternoon. Our next resource speaker is the CEO of the Guanzon Group, an organization of 12 family-owned companies engaged in hotel, restaurant, automotive, motorcycle, and mobile phone. It has 300 plus outlets with around 3,000 employees. A son of a Chinese migrant farmer and a Kapampangan market hawker, a civil engineer by profession, and educated in a Christian school, Divine Word Academy, and University of Pangasinan, he is also a founder of a 20-year-old orphanage based in Suwal, Pangasinan, Caring for the Future Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome CEO Engineer Joseph G. Law.
Hello. Am I being heard?
Loud and clear, sir.
Thank you very
Yes,
much.
sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the heartily introduction. I'm truly humbled to be invited as your guest today. I hope to be worthy of your time. Before I begin, I wish to state that I am not a professional speaker. I am most comfortable speaking to my family only. I have no business degree or authority to present. Like most of you, I just try my best to be a worthy steward of my responsibilities. As I have earlier mentioned, public speaking is not my profession, so please don't expect me to deliver a lecture. I will just tell you our story. It was March 2020. The threat of the COVID spread was forthcoming. I am an engineer, so I calculated. The last Spanish flu took 50 million lives. It was a time when the world population was only 2 billion, and the time when human intercontinental travel was still limited to a very few. Today, the world has 8 billion population. It comes with an unprecedented convenience in travel. And so a not so scientific ratio and proportion brings the figure to 200 million deaths. This scary number brought me to reflect deeply, which then drove me to calmly prepare the family for the worst. I remember telling them to pray well and hope that God will forbid such a wholesale destruction of human lives. But I asked them to be prepared to see death amongst people we love, and be prepared, God forbid, for ours as well. It was a cruel statement from the father. It brought my daughter, to break in tears. I remember saying, "Don't be afraid to die. Be afraid to die without delivering your worth for living." The family absorbed this explicitly. That days later, we decided to bring purpose to our lockdown. The lazy days suddenly became busy days. We copied a homemade face shield done by my sister for her daughter who works as a doctor in a government hospital here. And we set out plan for a mass production. We turned down the house to look for old sewing machines. For the raw materials, we reached out to some friends who graciously opened the shops for us. We converted my home into a factory. For almost 3 months, from Mondays to Sundays, my home became a production line for face masks and face shield. We then donated all these to those who need to be in the street, banks, hospitals, market, etc. I will later show you the video where we documented the process. The same message of urgency was delivered to the big family via Zoom. I said, we call it the big family, which means my sister and my brother, the family of my parents. Being the eldest son, I was trained not only to lead our companies, but head the family as well. I only have 4 siblings to report to, but everyone was called that night, including children. This was the time when there was no talk of government subsidy, and vaccine was a year forecast away. It was when I wake up every morning with the unnerving thought that all our stores may remain closed for the entire year. It was pitch black in front of me. But somehow, I got my nerve in that meeting and I asked permission to allow me to utilize millions of company savings to support the community, partly, but largely to our thousands of employees. We have our share of liabilities in our businesses. Our warehouses were decently filled up, but our shops were all put out of action. there will be no fund coming in. And my suggestion means millions will be on their way out. This, my request for fund was succeeded by a very, very long silence until one of my sister finally asked, "Can we afford it?" My answer was very quick. I said, "I don't know. I don't know what will happen to our suppliers. I don't know if our creditors will still be there when the light is back. I don't know what to expect from the consumer. I don't know if we will be infected. I don't know if we will be taken by the virus. I don't know many things." And so I thought that it is wise to work on the things that I know and the things that are clear. What was clear then was that we have around 3,000 employees who need us more than ever. Any business book will support the idea that employees are as much as an asset, an important asset as cash. The hard fact to put that concept into test was suddenly before us. It was no longer about selling more. It was no longer about competition. It was just about food on the employee's table. I said, our family is blessed with resources. It is wrong to just accept the lockdown and wait for good things to happen. It is wrong. We should build up our grounds, mobilize our organization, and do something to justify our worth. That night, using up only a few minutes, my recommendation was approved without objection. Our company GMs were convened soon after, and the things started happening. I will discuss to you chronologically. The first is that we decided to feed the policemen and the whole hospital workers. Almost all business establishments were closed. The policemen and the hospital workers, their families are also in lockdown situation like us. Let us feed them. We request our drivers, bakery, and kitchen staff to report to work. At first, naturally, employees were hesitant. The fear level those days was just too high. The silence in the street, if you were there, holds a very, very strange fear. You hear the birds, but suddenly it is not calming. To convince them to work, I said, let us write a good story for our children and grandchildren. We can stay home and hide for safety, but remember that no war in history was ever won through hiding. And so without a hint of hesitation, our dear restaurant GM, Miss Tina Mamaril, signed in. And right there and then, everybody bravely followed. And I made sure they see me every day. Then I called a relative in China to help me procure 1 million pieces of surgical masks. In about a month period, we were sending this to hospitals, targeting largely Region 1 Medical Center and the Pangasinan Provincial Hospital. The initial donations were given to hospital management, but we found out that the workers like guards, janitors, and other nurses need to buy their own. So we came up with a pyramid list. We set everyone in the groups, took their mobile phones, and set up distribution points. In a few days, we are supplying masks to 750 medical workers, all with text confirmation to make sure the goods reach the proper destination. We also sent truckloads of food donations to some LGU for the relief work. And take note that moving all these donations gained us access to travel. We were no longer in lockdown, and we used this travel privilege to buy more medical supplies, and this soon gave way for us to extend our reach to other government agencies and later to some hospitals in NCR. Along this period, we launched the Walang Iwanan Fund. Millions of funds were allocated to support our employees in lockdown. 3,000 of them. This comes with the daring guarantee that no one will be retrenched. I am proud to say that we managed to keep that promise up to now. The lockdown also created blood shortage. Red Cross contacted us. While most stayed home, we trust people out for our weekly blood drive. We now do it monthly. January 2021, by this time, our pandemic work has reached many, including the influential and the powerful. Their appreciation to our work became our tool in our search for vaccine. Many chose to wait for free government shots. We opted to fund ours. We were able to acquire 8,000 vaccines ahead of many. We committed half for government donations, the rest for our employees, friends, relatives, and of course, our family. We also shared our vaccines to employees of our suppliers, government workers, and some multinational companies who approach us. We kept some for our booster next year. Just recently, we launched our mobile vaccine. This work is still in progress. As I speak, our van is now somewhere in Tarlac or Pampanga vaccinating our employees. As far as I know, we are the first to do this in the country. August 2021, COVID death rate already at its peak. Hospitals were filled. We were testing and contact tracing almost 40 employees per day. And so we created our pandemic support group, our PSG. The goal, support those infected employees by sending food, supplement, medicine to their homes. We also rented an apartment and converted it into our infirmary. We procured 80 oxygen tanks, sent some to a government care facility, others for employee home emergency use, and for our infirmary as well. Our infirmary caters to those who are infected and has no way to reach their homes. The facility is equipped with approved COVID medicines, ICU machines, a doctor, and 5 nurses. Now, I'm sure that many of you should be thinking, these are all expenses. What is the financial wisdom in this? Well, in our case, it works well. To explain this, let me guide you to a model I made up, starting from the cycle that makes the corporate health factor. Number one is the cash or liquidity factor. This is what most of our parents understood very well. Save money, save until you become rich. I have a bad news for everyone. That won't happen. On the average, inflation is 2 to 4 times higher than interest rate. If our entire focus is on saving cash alone, we retire poor. The second is the cash flow factor. This is where you make your footprint in business. The cycle of buying and selling creates your track record. Your payroll system, for example, tells the bank the size of your organization. This factor makes you legitimate. If you have too much cash, for example, and you don't have cash flow, you are a crook or a lottery winner. You cannot hide or fake this from your supplier and creditors. The third factor is the credit line factor. This is the product of what others see you. It reflects how much they are willing to entrust their assets to you. And lastly, but equally very important, is the human factor. This reflects your relationship with the community, employees, suppliers, partners, family members, etc. This is also where the organization structure, succession plan, and your corporate values are put on display. Normally, the cash flow factor pumps earning into the cash factor. Then the credit line factor expands the cash flow factor. It brings speed, efficiency to your revenue engine through expansion, automation, digitalization, and diversification. The human factor fuels the three factors. It brings investment advantage to your cash factor. It delivers premium to your cash flow. And very importantly, it markets the strength of your credit line factor, or it fashions the perception you want others to see you. During rainy days, we usually fuel the cash flow factor. The pandemic is definitely a rainy day, but the cash flow factor is out of action, right? So we diverted the resources, the corporate resources, to the human factor to prime the whole cycle into work again. I created this model, and so I have to be confident and trust my gut. The mind makes the first step ahead of the foot. And so I created the mindset to win. Imagine yourself visiting a cemetery at 12 noon. I'm sure everybody will have no problem with that. Then let us change the time to 12 midnight. Suddenly, the feeling is different. The situation is the same except for the darkness. From childhood, the brain was trained to fear the dark. The ghost stories and the horror pictures had set the human brain to fear darkness. Understanding this, I trained my brain to see what many don't. Then I created a mindset for this pandemic. Don't be afraid of the dark. Fear is a reaction. Courage is a decision. Where will you set your mind? I chose courage. The courage to invest on the human factor. Was it wise? You bet it is. It has been more than a year. We will now be in deep trouble if we were wrong. Writer Zig Ziglar would say, you don't pay the price for success. You benefit from it. You actually pay the price for failure. I invite you all, including Mr. Lee Major, to visit Pangasinan, and you can see for yourself that we are now benefiting. Many felt that our pandemic work was pure charity and generosity. It was charity or generosity, but it was not pure. It was also a bet to gain something, a bet to win. Relationship, ladies and gentlemen, is not free. We don't feed our family with kiss and hugs. We pay for their food. Relationship clearly should be incentivized with money. We did exactly that. We pumped cash to tactically incentivize the human factor. This being said, I think the formula to win doesn't have to be those profound wisdom from Warren Buffett. We have actually learned most of them at home from our parents. Most of us just turned out to become too busy with other things. I say this because I believe corporate values and life values should be aligned. My father was a migrant from China. He was driven to the Philippines to escape extreme poverty. They were so poor that his twin baby sister has to be set into a basket and left floating on the river stream. There was no way to feed two babies. And my grandparents chose my father. In the case of my mother, they left Pampanga when poverty came along with World War II. They settled in the Dagupan. Condition was more livable here, being miles away from the turmoil of Manila. They were barely educated, but we were raised well. We inherited their stores with less than 20 employees, but more importantly, we inherited their values. Using what we learned from them, we build our way to be where we are now, and we are using the same to get us out of this crisis ahead than others. I made this very simple poem for my kids during the lockdown. Allow me to read just the last part. And it reads, rather wait the season for that miracle to happen. Let us be the reason why miracle still happens. Yes, this is a moral statement. My point today, this is also a tactical statement. Thank you very much for your time. As I promised you, here's the video I mentioned a while ago. Thank you very much. Walang sound. Walang sound. Meron na. May sound ka? I don't know why there was no sound, but thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Engineer Joseph Gilo, for a great presentation. So I have noted some of our speakers worth what do you call this? Worth of points, just like employees are worthy to keep the business like cash. They are our partners in all business endeavors. I have noted also that challenges in life and business brings better opportunity. As a Pangasinense, personally, we are happy and honored that engineer law of Guanzon Group of Companies is our kababayan. No wonder the company are booming not only around Pangasinan but also in other places in the country. We have noted that one of our viewers in FB, Miss Glyza Sheila Ginoor, commented that this is a very inspiring. Thank you for all the work you have done. God bless you, your family, and your employees, sir. Ma'am Carol?
Yes, sir. I was a little teary-eyed a while ago while Engineer Lo was actually telling his story. It really brings back memories, sir, right? From the first week to months that we are clueless of what will be the next to happen. But I guess and I pray that there will be a lot of engineer laws in the Philippines who's very compassionate and really thinks about his employee. You're right, sir, that you're not a good lecturer. You're the best inspirational speaker so far. So thank you really for inspiring us today. I bet we will be having a lot of questions later on. So for our audience who are now streaming live via Facebook and YouTube, you may prepare your question, reserve that for later. But again, before we get hooked to the discussion of engineer law, we now move to our third speaker and introduce her. May I please call on Ms. Joanne Abidejos Abad for the third speaker's introduction.
Good day, everyone. I would like to introduce to you our third speaker. Our third speaker is a TESDA trainer, a culinary instructor, and a retired professor at the St. Louis University, Baguio. And she is now a school administrator at the Colegio de la Union. And not all that. Our beloved third speaker is also a consultant at the Sunset Ridge Residences Baguio and also a consultant at the Casa Lasa Restaurant Baguio. Ladies and gentlemen, please let us welcome our third speaker, Ms. Constance D. Florentine.
Hi, I'm Constance Florentine. As you can see, I am now here in Baguio City. This is Mines View Park and I have my friend at my back. So, welcome to my talk for today about our restaurants and our hotels on what happened because of COVID-19. The title of my webinar is The Layout and Design Strategies for the Hotel and Restaurants to Flourish in the New Normal. This is my point of view as a consultant. Now you will listen to my webinar about the places where I go and what I do, especially now that we can help people in our economic condition.
Ito ang mga exhibit ngayon dito sa Convention Center. This is actually made by Oliver Olivete, an artist. Okay? So, ito yung mga ginawa ng pandemic sa atin. Kung ano yung mga online, delivery of food. It's a craft, it's a artwork. Sinasabi lang sa atin na ito yung mga nangyayari ngayon, lalo na sa ginawa ng COVID sa atin. At ang delivery food natin, lahat halos ng food natin is eto na, yung mga nagdi-deliver ng kung ano-anong mga binibili natin online. Okay? So makikita natin is an artwork. It has been researched. So you can see halos lahat ng ginagawa natin ngayon is by the multimedia. Kape-kape kayo dyan. Kape. This is Mount Kalugong. A friend of mine, kumbaga natanggal siya sa barko kasi wala pong naglalayad ng mga barko ngayon. So there is no travel for ships and cruise ships. So he started to look for a job. Now he is employed in Mount Kalugong. And what does he do? He does cooking. Of course, this is also at the top of the mountain. And they have al fresco, it's fresh air, and every morning what you look for is coffee. Kaya nga, kape-kape kayo dyan. Nauso ito ngayon dahil sa COVID, ang mga kape ay dinadala na kung saan-saan. Kumbaga, ito na ang ating buhay, kape. Kumbaga, gigising kayo sa umaga dahil lang po sa kape at dahil sa minamahal nyo at binibigyan natin.
Open space dining is one of the best that we can do now. So I featured Burnham Park. The owner of the yoke is actually one of my students, and they started selling food in a food cart. So they travel, they go to one place to another. They have two branches now, one at Burnham Park, which is found along the biking area, and another one in Porto Vaga, which is near Cathedral. And as a consultant, we can be very creative, we can be very resourceful. This is actually a food cart. It is also to avoid the contamination of the coronavirus. So the owner of the yoke is one of my students. Please dine in and come to Burnham Park and also at Porto Vaga near Cathedral. We have the food cart, the yoke. Hi! Nandito kami ngayon sa biking area sa Burnham Park at merong kainan po dito sa dulo ng mismong biking area. Hi! What's your name?
Hi, my name is Mark Kevin, but I'm one of the staff.
Of the yoke?
Yes.
Okay. Paano naisip itong the yoke? Ano yung mga menu ninyo na niluluto ninyo? And what are your best sellers? Okay. Maybe you can tell us, ano yung products ninyo?
Okay, our product is egg sandwiches.
Okay.
And our best seller po is jackfruit and then dried fruit.
Okay. Bakit nyo naisipan ito? Pagbebenta sa, of course, it's an open space. It's called al fresco. Yes. Bakit naisipan to?
Kasi maganda po kasi yung location ng Tapos it's fresh po. For now, pandemic po kasi kaya maganda po dito sa labas.
Okay, maraming salamat.
This is John Hay. A lot of people here do al fresco picnic. And instead of going to different places for restaurants, they started to go into picnic per family.
Hi! Dito po ako sa John Hay. Just having fun amidst the COVID.
A Thunderbird is a place where I also go because I teach and I am also the administrator and principal at Colegio de la Union. I go most of the time in the afternoon to go to Thunderbird and watch the sunset. In Thunderbird, they also offer al fresco. That's dining outside with all the beautiful sunset that you can see, go swimming in the pool, and what's simply nice is the food that they are serving. But they do not serve food in the restaurant where it is enclosed. Of course, people would prefer to eat outside.
We're here now in La Union and I am here at Halo Halo de Iloco. I am here to eat, syempre, halo-halo, of course. And this is a beautiful place and this is owned by Sir Xavier Mercado. Pero wala po siya ngayon. He's not here because he has an important appointment. But I am here with Mrs. Mercado.
Yes. Hi, good afternoon. I'm April Mercado. So together with my husband, Xavier Mercado, we put up this Halo Halo de Ilocos restaurant here in San Fernando City.
So makikita natin ngayon yung place nila. Ang ganda-ganda. So pag kumain kayo dito, dito po tayo kakain. And of course, inaano pa rin nila yung kanilang protocols for COVID. So as you enter, we have the code that you should have. Importante po kasi ito na protocol natin ngayon. So Ma'am April, ano po yung ginawa nyo sa inyong layout sa ating Halo-Halo de Ilocos para lang hindi tayo of course, makontaminate sa COVID? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So, here, meron tayong portion dito na aircon. Enclosed area po siya. But then, during the pandemic, hindi po namin siya pinapagamit. Close po muna namin kasi nga ayaw nga din namin ng enclosed area for our customers. So we offer them the garage kasi ito yung open space po natin.
Pakita lang po natin yung sa garage nila. So ito po yung itsura ng ating garage. Pero actually, kung titingnan natin, maganda po yung sa taas. Siguro pag face to face na po, Ma'am April.
We will open it po again. In partnership with the Department of Tourism. So yan. At least, every now and then, nare-remind po yung ating mga customers kung ano ba yung mga dapat nilang gawin. And then, we also have here the regular registration para sa ating mga customers. Now, before they can enter the establishment, they have to write down their names, their addresses, and their contact numbers para lang din prepared tayo for kung may mga magaganap na contact tracing, at least we have the information already. And then, if they do not want to write down, they can also scan. Nandito po yung QR code na pwede nilang scan using their phones, and then from there, they can make the registration. And of course, nandito po yung alcohol natin so that they could sanitize after the registration. Then after that, they can now proceed to the tables dito. And then, during the pandemic nga, syempre, kailangan kung i-observe natin yung social distancing. So, yung mga tables, limited na lang siya. Not unlike before that they could go as parang pwede pumupo kahit marami. Pero now, we see to it na limited lang talaga siya. And then, we make sure also na meron din kahit yung tables mismo are distance from each other.
This is Halo-Halo de Ilocos. A good friend of mine who is Xavier Mercado is the owner, so you can see and watch the video what they did in their restaurants to be able to get guests to eat in their place. In San Fernando, Jollibee, they also had different protocols, so people will still go fine, of course, dine in Jollibee, and they followed different guidelines. Along Session Road, with DTI, with SEPMO, Baguio City, I'm also a trainer in DTI. Of course, I am part of the Session Road Fair, or we sell our products in Session Road. We also have food, coffee, and different delicious delicacies and pasalubong items we have displayed in Session Road. Every Sunday, Session Road is closed, and these are the activities that we are doing.
This is hydroponics. Ito po yung pagtatanim natin ng lettuce o lechugas with water only. Yan po ang hydroponics.
As an instructor of St. Louis University, I teach culinary, I teach food and beverage service, and I also teach events management. Now, because of COVID, we have online classes, and most of the time we use modules. So what do? I record the different activities in my laboratories, and my students would give me a return demo of the different activities. Now, because of this, I also go to the different communities. I give livelihood to at least 10 to 15 participants for different livelihood skills in Tublay, Tuba, Atok, Sablan, and this is along Benguet and the Cordillera. So we are bringing all the things that we need for different livelihood skills to help people, at least for those who are displaced, those who were removed from their jobs, and to have new pop-up, start-up business women who will also go into entrepreneurship. This is also one alternative that we can do, especially to give jobs to people who have lost their jobs.
The role restaurants could play in COVID-19 exposure. A new study using cell phone technology from millions of Americans found restaurants among likely hotspots for spread of the virus. This morning, GMA investigates how safe you are when dining, even in an outdoor space, and how the type of structure you choose to dine in could impact your level of exposure. Here's Kaylee Hartung.
As concerns remain about dining indoors and temperatures drop, outdoor dining structures are popping up everywhere, from the elaborate to the simple. But what setup should you look for to dine safely and reduce your risk?
How and why is outdoor dining safer than indoor dining? It has to do with ventilation, the ability of this virus to be able to dissipate in the air.
As you see more tents popping up, what are your concerns?
Tents don't have ventilation the way an indoor restaurant would. So these outdoor settings are not actually outdoors.
Now in a GMA Investigates exclusive, teaming up with Virginia Tech engineering professor Lindsay Marr, new 3D animations show how the virus can travel from table to table, depending on the type of dining structure you choose.
So if someone is infected and they're sitting outdoors in one of these tents, then as they're breathing and talking, they are releasing viruses into the air. And just like cigarette smoke, the air can easily flow in any direction because there's no walls. And once you start adding walls, you potentially block that wind. Once you add 4 walls, you kind of lose that benefit of being outdoors.
And while dining igloos do isolate you from other diners, there's a downside.
If you're with someone who happens to be infected, there's really a high potential for virus to build up in the air and for everyone in that little bubble to be exposed. I feel like it's only prudent to go in there with people in your own household or people in your own pod.
Also, Mark cautions, make sure there's enough time between seatings, at least 20 minutes, to give the igloo a chance to air out. Her most ideal scenario? Dining under the great open sky, because she says that outdoor air dilutes the virus that may be floating in the air, the wind carrying it away in all directions.
You still want to follow all the guidelines that you do indoors, meaning that the tables should be far apart, ideally 10 feet between people at the nearest tables. People should be wearing masks when they're not eating. You want to minimize contact with the waiter and practice good hygiene.
Here at AOC in Los Angeles, they turn their parking lot into a dining room under the open sky, ensuring tables are placed 6 feet apart. But infectious disease expert Anne Ramoyne says there's no zero risk scenario when it comes to dining.
If open air dining like this isn't available, what's the second best option? The more air circulating, the better it is. So someplace that has an awning, has sidewalls front, is definitely better than a place that is completely closed in.
She also has a recommendation for restaurants. Turn down the music.
Loud music means you have to speak more loudly, and we know that that creates an opportunity to expel more virus.
Now, something else you'll often see in outdoor dining spaces now,
heat lamps. And our expert says that while the heat from those lamps, it might prompt a little more air movement, it won't dilute any virus in the air. So not as much as that access to fresh outdoor air. That is the key. Michael?
Nothing like fresh air. Kaylee. And Kaylee, is there any guidance for dining with people from outside your household?
Yeah, Michael, because distance is a factor in transmission. Our expert says look for a larger table. Give yourself as much space to spread out as possible.
All right, Kaylee Hartung, thank you.
Chef Florentine, now maybe get also some insights. Why do we have to change the layout of the hotels or restaurants during this pandemic?
We have to change the layout of our dining for hotels and restaurants so that we will not be able to be contaminated by the virus. As you can see in the previous video, these kinds of virus can really affect us because it's in the air. And the best thing that we can do is to restructure our hotels so that people can still come in and dine in. From 10%, we went to 20%. Now we're already going to 50% people who are going to dine in. But eventually, we will be having the 100% who can really eat in our hotels and restaurants. It's important that we will not be affected by this virus. It's simply to follow protocols, guidelines that our government is giving us.
Okay, Chef, that was good information for all of us. But what would be your suggestions when it comes to, reconstructing or changing the layout of it?
Okay, as you can see in this webinar, I will be sharing you what other places are doing, especially in Italy or even US or Germany. They do al fresco, and it is also to be able to convince people to eat in these places. It's an open space where air can just circulate and we will not be affected by this virus. In some places, what they did is, of course, food delivery. But aside from food delivery, you simply eat it at home, the food that you're going to eat at home. The people and children would simply prefer to go out. And just to drive, maybe in a car, you can eat and get your food. They can place a piece of wood, so that you can dine in and you can have good food, and you can also choose whatever special delicacies or maybe dine inside your car.
Okay, Chef Florentine, that was good again. Pero pagdating po, kasi nalaman po namin na you're also a consultant in Sunset Ridge. Sorry,
Yes, it's a Sunset View Ridge.
Okay, yeah, it's Sunset View Ridge. So, what were yung mga nabigyan mo ng advice or suggestions sa kanila din?
Okay. It's simple. We have actually rooms where you have aircon, it's closed doors, but we had to close all these rooms and these function rooms. We had to open, restructure, we had to make a layout, we had to remove some plants so that we can place tables, people can eat, and of course, practicing social distancing. You had to, at least one person or two persons will just simply dine in. And that's simply what we did with Sunset View Ridge. Of course, this is to get income. If we will not do that, definitely people will not come in, because we serve good food. We serve special food and we cook for you. Of course, you will be able to taste the best. So dine in with us, come and visit us. We have a beautiful place and you will definitely see the sunset.
Ang sabi nga nila, may bukas pa, magbabago rin, at marami pa rin naman ang magagandang mangyayari pag wala na si COVID. And let's all hope for that to happen. Of course, our tourism industry is waiting for us.
That's true, Ma'am Florentine. It was indeed an awesome presentation in a very unique way. We really enjoy it, ma'am, and we love it. So I bet Sir Arnold would agree with me.
Yes, Ma'am Carol. Of course, I have my kababayan and also an Ilocano, a chef, an educator, an industry practitioner, a college administrator. So load into one. Agyaman kami unay, Ma'am Florentine. That's one way of saying maraming salamat po, Ma'am Florentine Constance, for sharing your thoughts, your ideas on Ilocano traditions, culture, and food. She presented the Baguio City, which is part of Benguet, and of course here in La Union. So thank you very much again, Ma'am Constance Florentine. Again, our sincerest gratitude to our speakers. We know that our schedules are all jam-packed, but you really took time and effort to be with us today and share your experiences and knowledge. And finally, after everything that has been said, to give us synthesis of today's learning, we have Mr. Augusto Guillaume to give us the synthesis.
Thank you, Ma'am Carol and Sir Arnold. Uh, to our university president, Sir Francisco B. Benitez, to our supportive dean, Sir Prime Avellana, and Professor Jocelyn Sardenas, to all our speaker, Mr. Lee M. Pahalay, Engineer Joseph Go, Miss Constant Florentino, and to all the participants, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us in this webinar with the theme Vision of Champions, Resilience of Hospitality Industry for a Better Future. The pandemic has not only been an alarming public health crisis, it has also been the hotel and restaurant industry greatest challenge to date. For this cheap reason, never before have been so many hotels and restaurants been forced to cease operations, from room occupancy level, forced staffing plans, to food and beverage provisioning. The pandemic has the potential to have far-reaching effect on the industry. Long past the lifting on travel restrictions and regional lockdown, priorities will depend on the size and structures of the business, as well as the current financial positions and long-term strategies. Either way, there is no denying that you're thinking of hotel and restaurants business model can help one return to stability, and this can be powered through the next normal. With foreign sight and careful planning, you can equip your company to capture outside size value in the post-COVID-19 future. The pandemic has been the healthiest descriptions of the business world. The challenge of continued business operation is excavated with the current conditions we are all in now. However, several mechanics have been put in place to adapt the times and reflect an empirical data from which informed business decisions can be made. Nonetheless, it is always necessary to set human factor a priority in the process. This must highly be prime at all times as the significant influences credit line factor, which then make an impact on cash flow and cost cash of liquidity factor. Altogether, scaffolding what the speaker said, something that justify our work. So thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Sir Galion. I can see how big the influence of our resource speakers made to the decision making of our participants. But wait, we're still not over because we will now be entertaining questions from our audience. So I hope at this time you have typed in your questions in the chat box or in the FB page. Please type in all your questions as our speakers are eager to answer all those. I think we have question there, Sir Arnold.
Yes, Ma'am Carol. So we're going to start the question and answer portion of this webinar. May we request our speakers to open their camera so that we can throw questions to them. Ma'am Florentine.
I cannot open my camera though. The host stopped it. Oh.
Okay. Okay, so while waiting for our one of the speakers to confirm to open their camera, so let's start. Let's get the ball rolling by asking to our our speaker, to Engineer Law. Okay, the question is, what are the best options for hospitality management professionals now that most of the hotels are closed?
Hello. Hello. Can you
Yes.
hear me? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you
Yes,
very
sir.
much. I think the best options is to to invite the hotel owners to move, to group yourselves and invite the hotel owners to go ahead and start opening their stores. You know, IATF set rules, but they do not regulate. Remember that. As a group, you can directly talk to the local chief executive and create your own protocols where jobs will be available, where you can open safely for dining and for hotel luxury stay, and eventually to generate jobs, because it is also the work of the chief executive not only to control the virus, it is part of their work to generate jobs. They have to balance that, but they need help from you. It should come from us. You should work together along with the principals as well as the other players like professionals like you. You have to come together, go to the principals, come up with a plan, and go to your local executives. Exactly what I did. The IATF guidelines will practically shut us down. They can make guidelines, but they do not have the power to regulate because they have no staff. It is the local executive that creates, that monitors us. So we talk to the local executives, have some bargaining. The bargaining will be the balance between the threat of COVID and the threat of unemployment. That is the balance, and you will be understood. Do not leave your chief executive doing this alone. They also need help. You have to work together as a hospitality group and go to your executive with a position that is balanced. That is what I can suggest for now.
Thank you very much, Engineer Law. And for the second question, I think Sir Fagelan's video is now okay. I would like to throw the question to Sir Fagelan. Sir, the question is how will the hospitality industry can survive amidst pandemic?
Um, how? Definitely what we need in order to survive are the guests, right? Okay. So like what I said a while ago, what we are doing right now is a lot of hotels that I know of are in renovations. Okay. So a lot of them are in renovating, a lot of them are strategizing. Um, the question is not about getting all of the ROIs on time or the return of investment. It's no longer about meeting your budgets or your financial goals for the years or for the next 5 years. It's not about that anymore. It's just really to survive. But in order for us to really survive, we need guests. That's why, in relation to Mr. Law's statement about the hospitality industry coming together, gathering our powers together, and talk to our local executives, gladly here in Baguio City, I'm pretty sure Ma'am Chit Florentine will agree with me that we have the Baguio Tourism Council, we have the Hotel and Restaurant Association of Baguio, we have all of these organizations put together in order to storm the doors of our local executives and asking them it's about time that we open up. It's about time to think about the workers who have already been struggling for the longest time. A lot of them have been trying to work on minimal budgets without any ayuda at all. So gladly after all of these months, because the balance Mr. Law was talking about is so real, it hurts. The balance of making sure that the medical teams or the medical consultants or the frontliners concerns about having all of these hospitals full of patients, overloaded with work, fatigue, and stuff like that is also at par with what the economy is trying to ask for. So andun na tayo, gusto nating healthy sila, walang masyadong tao sa hospital para hindi mahirapan ng mga frontliners. Pero ito tayo nagkikahos. A lot of our staff, like what I said, works 3 hours, three days in a month, and skeletal workforce, minimal. This is the thing, a maximum output, minimal input in terms of salary. So ang dami naghirap, hindi lang mga business owners, hindi lang management na talaga nag-iisip for the business owners, at lalong naman yung mga empleyado natin. How are we going to survive? We need all of these people together. With all of this happening, we still have to remember all of our protocols. Adherence lang naman talaga yan eh. Adherence lang naman yan. And a lot of people have been vaccinated already. Glad to report that here in Baguio City, for the first time in the longest time, we have 3 digits in terms of active cases of COVID. That's like 600 as of last night, 600 plus. Yes? So, yun lang ang gusto kong sabihin, that we are getting there. Our resilience have paid off. Pero we are already, makikita mo yung aming president dito sa HRAB, sinasabi na niya, tama na, kailangan na namin magtrabaho, kailangan na ng empleyado na mag-work, kailangan na nilang ganyan. Pinaglalaban naman na talaga namin. Pag magpapatuloy pa talaga to, baka mas marami pang magko-close down. No? So, yun na. Talagang isipin na natin balance of economy and balance of healthcare situation in order for us to survive.
Thank you, Sir Fajilan. Yeah, we know that remember that after the night, the sun will still shine. Okay, we go now to the third question, the rose among the thorn in our row. So to our blogger, our chef, Ma'am Florentine, here is the question. So what should a future hospitality and tourism entrepreneur need to consider in a facility layout and design during pandemic?
Okay. For me, I've always been positive. You can see in my video I've always been positive. I've not been thinking of what happened in the past. So I've been traveling, and most of those I've given jobs actually for trainings are these people who were displaced from different hotels and restaurants. I initiated this because some of my students who were removed from their jobs came and then asked, Ma'am, wala na pa kaming trabaho. Can you help us? So I started to think, what can I do? How can I help you? So, with the cooperation of DTI, I started to give trainings for displaced people from hotels and restaurants. So, I trained them different skills so that they can sell their products. Yung mga dating nasa front office, they started to bake, they started to cook, they started to process food and sell it. And then they started, yun na yung kape-kape ko, maraming nawalan sa barko. But they were, they had to look for jobs. With regards to the layout of the different hotels, you can see kahit nagkaroon ng COVID, meron pa rin pumapasok sa hotel na hinahawakan ko. Meron at meron pa mga kumakain. Naging positive kami na we have to be creative, we have to be resourceful. Dapat may income pang papasok para lang ma-sustain ang employees. Yun po ang mga ginawa namin. Tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang hanap buhay. So positive lang po. Andiyan na po ang mga tao sa Baguio ngayon, parating na sila. Itong long weekend, ang dami pong mga tao dito sa Baguio ngayon. Come visit also Country Club. Now, we have our Christmas village. They're already open.
We can't wait to do that, Florentine.
Yes.
It's really sad, but Filipinos are resilient, and we will be bouncing back to the economy, ma'am, hopefully very, very soon. Sir Arnold, I have here another question. This is coming from Facebook. Coming from Sir Alvin T. Rector. He's asking, he's from Western Mindanao State University. The question is, question lang po, what if the pandemic is already over? Do hotels need to continue to follow the guideline practices that is being utilized right now? Again, I'll repeat po, what if the pandemic is already over? Do hotels still need to continue to follow the guidelines and practices that is being utilized right now?
All right, let me answer that. In my personal belief, I think that if the pandemic is over, there's no way that we have to be complacent immediately, right? There's no room for complacency because it's lurking around. It's just a matter of time, and not everybody reports that they have COVID, or not everybody who has symptoms goes to the hospital or have their self checks. So it's not going to be completely eradicated. You have to be very careful, and I am into continuing all of the protocols, only less restricting. Like for instance, perhaps you can now let people in gatherings more than 50% or 75% or more, provided that you have at least a face mask, yung mga ganon, no? So para more income for the hotels, and so that more people can come to work because there are a lot of workload na. So yun lang masasabi ko, talagang dapat careful pa rin tayo, at least lahat tayo meron ng herd immunity, meron na tayong vaccines. That's the only time that we're just gonna go relax and take things easy. But as for the next few months, even if there's no COVID reported, we have to be very, very careful, especially the hotels. We cannot afford another surge.
That's right, sir. So we pray that this will end soon. But we have another question here, sir, from our audience, Sir Arnold. This comes from Kenji Alinsenorin, and he said, is the retrenchment of employees can help the company or establishment to have fewer expenses or to avoid bankruptcy? Again, is the retrenchment of employees can help the company or establishment to have fewer expenses or to avoid bankruptcy? Anybody probably from our distinguished speaker? speakers today.
Yes. The, to the one who asked that question, were you retrenched? Um, the question is both, right? It depends on your hotel. There are hotels that has a lot of money in the banks that they are willing to spend more, or they're not hesitating to spend more for the welfare of their employees. It's a situational uh, issue. There are hotels who can no longer afford it. So I know several hotels here who can no longer continue operating or can no longer hire or keep their people because there's no more guests that can run the business. May mga hotels na may mga other businesses that supports their hotel for it to still continue running. And you cannot take the case of chain of hotels because may mga funds yan. May mga hotels naman na talagang pinagkukunan lang ng kanilang revenues are their daily operations. So, kung ma-retrench, you have to understand na siguro talagang na maximize na ng ipon ng hotel na pinanggalingan mo yung kanilang finances, no? Hindi na talaga kaya. And we are experiencing that right now. We opened a hotel in the middle of the pandemic that was last April. Believe it or not, I hired about 65. Ngayon, siguro they're down to what? 25 people. We have to let go kasi walang pumapasok eh. Walang cash flow. Okay? You have to go back to your financial statements, you have your idea of financial management. Alam mo, pag walang cash flow, saan mo kukunin yung pangsweldo mo sa tao? So you have to relieve them, retrench them. It's gonna be painful, especially sa mga nakasama mo ng matagal. Pero you have to take a certain path in order for the business to survive. At the end of the day, yung mga may-ari niyan, talagang nagsistruggle din eh. Talagang walang mapagkukunan, mababankrupt sila. So kung ikaw ang idea mo ay medyo ba't ako na-retrench tapos ang dami mga questions, you have to go back and dig in further and try to understand na kakaiba ang situation ng pandemya na to. And it's not just local, it's not localized issue, it's a global pandemic and we are not isolated in this matter. So, both ang sagot doon, both, no? Sa tanong niya, pareho 'yun, depende sa sitwasyon.
BI?
Can I answer that?
Yes, Engineer Law, you're recognized.
Thank you very much. I feel that everybody's waiting for the light to come up, to switch on. It won't. It's not a light. It will just, we will feel it coming. But it's not something that it's on and off. So we are waiting for something that will not happen. We are waiting for something that will not happen. As I mentioned earlier, fear is a reaction. And I've been hearing a lot of fear in this session. What I want to impart is you have to decide for courage, especially if you are a hotel owner, if you are a business owner, or if you are the GM. The rule is always follow the leader. I was never locked down. I was only locked down 3 days. And I see to it that I'm out every day. I have to deal with the checkpoints. They have big guns with them. I bring bread so that I can pass. I already flew 10 times. It will be impossible for you to understand what to do if you are in home, if we are doing this webinar. In my companies, I ask everybody to come. Look for ways to come. Let's have a one face-to-face meeting. And we are doing it. With all the regulations, checkpoints, we are doing it. Follow the leader. Everybody is in need here. It's not only the mayor, it's not only the businessman, it's a collective work. It's a collective work. And we will all fall together if we do not do that. What I'm trying to say is manage your fear level. You analyze your fear level last March 2020. You analyze, give it a rating 1 to 10. Then you analyze your fear level now. It drastically went down. It drastically went down. But infection is the same. Our fear level is destroying our society. It's not the virus. It is our fear level that is destroying us. Whether you are the mayor, you are the employee, or you are the businessman, it is our collective fear level that is over more than what it should be. That is the thing that is destroying us, not the virus. That is my answer.
For me, may I answer?
Yes, Ma'am Cheat.
Okay. Nakita nyo sa video, I travel from Baguio to La Union. That's face to face. That's almost every day. I've overcome my fear so that I can help people. Maraming naalis nga sa trabaho, na-depress sila, ang daming natanggal. All over the world, na ang dami-daming business nag-close. Ang kailangan lang siguro ng bawat isa sa atin, what can we do? Kung natanggal tayo sa trabaho, then we have to do something about it. We have to survive. So we have to look for alternatives. Kung natanggal ka man, nakita mo naman ang daming mga creative dyan, nagbenta, nag-deliver. You can be as resourceful just to survive. Yun lang siguro, pati yung mga hotel, sooner or later, babalik pa rin tayo, but it will take time. Parang yung may sakit na nagre-recover, hindi yan bigla-biglaan. Unti-unti natin makikita yan. It will come slowly. But of course, the key here is patience.
Thank you, Ma'am Cheat. Yeah, I've noted that conquer your fear and survive and look for alternative source of income in order to survive. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so we have another question. This is I think question for Engineer Law. Here is the question, sir. Amidst pandemic, if you could give one word on how we can have a vision of a champion, what would it be and why?
I will make it very short so it will be easy to remember. Do not work for survival. Work to win. Survival is a negative condition. It is not about survival. It is about winning. And if you focus on winning, if every one of us focus on winning, this will be over. That is the solution.
That is right. So do not survive. You have to win. So that's another question here is this is from Rhoda, one of our classmates. She said, how can hospitality businesses continue to provide a welcoming and hospitable atmosphere to guests despite the safety protocols? Again, how can hospitality businesses continue to provide a welcoming and hospitable atmosphere to guests despite the safety protocols?
I think we have to simply follow what the government is telling us. Because once we don't follow this, they will close our establishments. So it's just simply following what they would tell us. To welcome again these guests, we can just continue so that we can also still win our guests. Like for Baguio, we are now opening.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ma'am Cheat. So, Ma'am Carol, I think we are now on the final question.
Go ahead, Sir Arnold.
Yes. So the question is, I think it's for everybody. So maybe we can start from the lady, Ma'am Cheat.
Yes.
Okay. So here's the last question. What advice would you give to young and current entrepreneurs on handling challenges in the hospitality business?
Okay. So here we are. I'm with the food business. At ngayon, makikita natin, halos lahat nagbo-boom ang bakers, ang mga nagluluto, yung iba nasa planting, plantito, plantita. But what are they planting? It's also what we have. If they have a space at their backyards, they can simply go into business. They can create, ang bilis ngayon magluto, yung dating hindi nagluluto at hindi dating nagbibake na rin ngayon. Nasa sa atin din yan eh. Yung mga hindi natin nakasanayan, ginagawa na natin para magkaroon ng, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na pop-up business. So like what we did with DTI, it's not only the product itself. We started to do also selling our products to Shopee. We started to selling our products to Lazada. DTI gave us trainings, even placing our trade marks and things like that. We were able to, we were recognized by DTI. Free trainings we had, also with TESDA. Okay, ang daming pwedeng puntahan na trainings with TESDA. Open sila. And note, with TESDA, it is face-to-face. For the past 3 months, nagturo ako face-to-face talaga yung training na binibigay ko ng food and beverage training, cookery. Hindi naging hindrance sa amin ang COVID. Basta may 15 kaming participants. Ngayon, yung mga nabigyan na namin ng training, they are now selling their products, and some of these products binibenta ni rin namin outside Baguio.
Yes, thank you very much, Ma'am Cheat. I believe that food is really I think, the most click business because it's a basic need.
Yes.
We consume everyday food. Maybe that's why. Okay, so let's go now to our second speaker, Sir Lee Majors Fagilan.
Okay. What is the question again? Sorry, I was reading something.
Yeah, no worries, sir. Yeah. The question is, what advice would you give to young and current entrepreneurs on handling challenges in the hospitality business?
Okay, for entrepreneurs. Okay, I'm a new entrepreneur as we speak. I just opened my Christmas shop at the Porto Vago Mall yesterday, and I was really, that's why I was running back and forth everywhere. I was trying to wrap my head around what Mr. Joseph Law said about surviving and winning. I believe that if you are a survivor, you're a winner. I am a COVID-19 survivor, the most extreme something that I've experienced in March. I was almost dead in March 16. So that alone is for me. I'm here talking to you about these situations. I was in the COVID situation while I was opening a hotel. And I've been talking around a lot about these situations to my friends who are owners of hotels or businessmen around here in Northern Luzon. And surviving for me is winning. And for all of you out there is listening here, right now, you cannot just, like what Ma'am Chit have said, we have to follow strictly the protocols. We cannot fight that at a certain level before, you have this certain level of fear. You would want to get out of your comfort zones. You want it to be free. I'm a world traveler, for crying out loud. I mean, I fly practically 12 times a year in every country that I wanted to. And since the pandemic, I had like 5 flight cancellations, New Zealand, Peru, Iceland, and Nepal and Bhutan last year. I was like crying, because I cannot have a refund on my flights. But people would tell me, just survive this pandemic and everything, as soon as it goes back to normal, every one of you right out there who's willing to take that challenge of revenge. There's this thing we call revenge travel. Take that opportunity. There's this thing called business revenge. Everybody who's has been in lockdown for like a year, in the philosophical point of view, we would want to take that as an inspiration for all of us in the tourism industry and for every business, whatever it is, to take that as a chance that everybody is excited to spend their money, to work, to travel. Take that. So this is the best time for you to get a stall at SM, to visit the nearby malls, department stores in your city or in your area, there are so many stalls that has closed down. Take that as a chance. Ask how much is the rent. You know, Ma'am Chit was talking about entrepreneurial capabilities like bake shop. We've done that last year in the advent of online shopping, online selling. You know, people have become very famous. We were able to find ways virtually in order to survive. And that for me is winning. Let's continue that winning streak. Let's use that term. For as long as you've survived this pandemic, I believe you are a winner. As simple as that. So that's gonna be my parting words to all of you out there. Just, be resilient. We're all gonna get through this. Just think positive. I believe that.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I agree with you, Sir Fajilan. Resilience and uh, we always survive in our life. And also we have to ask also our engineer, Engineer Joseph Lo, on what advice that he could give to young and current entrepreneurs in handling challenges in the hospitality businesses.
I was already on my way to Manila uh, for a for I was about to see a doctor and be about to be hospitalized when my brother called me, lockdown na, umuwi ka na. So I came back. Not that I'm strong or whatever. My wife and my son was also infected with COVID mid last year when there was no vaccine at all. And so I have in my home the experience of COVID, just like some of you. But then during those very challenging lockdown, I remember telling my family that the best way to protect ourselves is to protect others. And this applies to our condition right now. We have to protect each other. That is the way to protect us. Whether you are going to be vaccinated, it is not about you. It should be also about others. In other words, I still hear people who do not want to be vaccinated. Natatakot ako, baka mamatay ako, etc. I think that is a very greedy statement. Because how can we reach herd immunity if we do not get ourselves vaccinated? Herd immunity is the only solution for this to end. The Philippines only have more than 20%. We only have 20% of the population. I think it's 27 the last time I heard about it. It will be a long time for us to reach herd immunity. But remember, it works for us. As I reiterate my invitation to you, come and visit us. We are not a hotel that is dying. We are operating. We have weddings. And all this without violating government regulations. We communicate with the government. You look at our Facebook, we are never bashed by our customers because we do not cater to COVID spread. What we did is just tame down our fear level. We are not lowering our guards, but we are bringing our fear level down. And as I mentioned a while ago, follow the leader. If you are a leader, show your courage and everybody becomes brave. Even your customer. We've showed you pictures a while ago. Our restaurants in some, of course, we remove some tables, but we are filled. We are not losing. We are winning. We are not surviving. We are winning. And this formula, the reason why I attended this is I want to share it to you. Hindi ito tsamba. This is not a myth. It's happening. So if you really want to know the truth, come here. Come here and see for yourself if I'm lying or not. But I can only do this in my business. It's really up to you if you will apply it to yours. That's my point. First, get vaccinated, wear your mask, and let's move on. Let's move on. Get vaccinated, wear your mask, let's move on. The numbers, the distancing and everything, 30%, 50%, this has no scientific proof. It's just something that the government must do. Okay, we follow. If we want to violate some things, we ask the chief executive's permission. From the 30, can we go to 50? IATF standard is 30, 50. Pag sinabi ng mayor, sige pwede, then we go for 50. We can bargain for as long as the goal is not just for money. The goal is to keep the business rolling so that customers will benefit, the government will benefit, the employees will benefit, and everybody will benefit. Follow the leader. Tandaan niyo yan. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So there's something I noted down here. We have to be responsible, protect each other, get vaccinated.
Yes, Ma'am Carol. Yeah, everybody is invited to visit Monarch Hotel in Calasiao and Pedritos in Dagupan City. Yeah, is it right, Sir Joseph Lo? Okay, Ma'am Carol?
Yes, you are invited.
Yeah.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Can we just have one last question? And this is from our professor for Advanced Facilities Planning and Design. Dr. Jocelyn Sardenia is asking, is it really expensive for layout, design, and ambience during this pandemic prior to pandemic?
May I? With the pandemic, I answer. With the layout, of course, I'm a businesswoman. Okay? I need to spend. Kailangan akong gumastos para kumita. Kung hindi ako gagastos para sa facilities or sa layout, you can be very creative kung anong pwede mong i-recycle na nandyan. But of course, kung yung sinasabi nating cost cutting na yan, tignan natin saan tayo pwedeng kumuha ng pera. I also understand most hotels may investment sila, pwede silang kung kaya mo talaga mag-invest for a structure, for a layout, then spend for it. Kasi babalik din yan kung ikaw talaga ay negosyante. Oo, babalik at babalik din yan. Kasi kung hindi mo gagawa ng paraan sa layout mo, wala ka rin kita. Yun lang siguro. You really have to do something, spend also.
That's right, Ma'am Sheep. Thank you very much. And I think it's a wrap for the questions or the open forum, Sir Arnold. Thank you very much to all our audience for being so participative for today. And I hope, just like myself, I hope you have learned a lot from our distinguished speaker this afternoon. And we hope that you can share it to those people at home, to your classmates, to your colleagues, so that we can actually share best practices. Right, sir?
Yes, Ma'am Carol. And now we will proceed to the awarding of the Certificate of Appreciation. So we start with Engineer Law. So the Philippine Women's University, School of Hospitality Management, Taft Avenue, Manila, awards the Certificate of Appreciation to Engineer Joseph G. Law for imparting his valuable insights and expertise during the webinar entitled Vision of Champions, Resilience of the Hospitality Industry for a better future amidst the pandemic via Facebook Live and YouTube. Given this 30th day of October 2021 at the Philippine Women's University, Taft Avenue, Manila, Philippines. Signed, Dr. Jocelyn R. Sardenia, Professor, and Dr. Efremuel Jose L. Abiliana, Cluster Dean, School of Food Science and Technology, Tourism and Hospitality Management.
Thank you very much, Engineer Law. And
Thank you
the
very
same,
much.
thank you.
I'm
Thank you
very
much.
humbled. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you, sir. The same certificate of appreciation is given to our first speaker. I hope Sir Pagelan can hear us today. I think she's having some technical problems right now. However, a certificate is awarded, so I'll be reading the citation. Philippine Women's University, School of Hospitality Management, Certificate of Appreciation. This certificate is awarded to Mr. Lee Majors M. Pailan, guest speaker, for imparting his valuable insights and expertise during the webinar entitled Vision of Champions, Resilience of the Hospitality Industry for a Better Future Amidst Pandemic via Facebook Live and YouTube. Given this 30th of October 2021 at the Philippine Women's University, Taft Avenue, Manila, Philippines. Signed, Dr. Jocelyn R. Sardenia, Professor, and Dr. Efremuel L. Abiliana, Cluster Dean, School of Food Science and Technology, Tourism and Hospitality Management. Again, thank you very much, Mr. Fajalan. For Arnold?
Yes, Ma'am Carol. And to our last speaker, the same certificate of appreciation is given to chef, blogger Constance D. Florentine for imparting her invaluable insights and expertise during this webinar entitled Vision of Champions, Resilience of the Hospitality Industry for a Better Future Amidst the Pandemic via Facebook Live and YouTube. Given this 30th day of October 2021 at the Philippine Women's University, Taft Avenue, Manila, Philippines. Signed, Dr. Jocelyn R. Sardenia, Professor, and Dr. Efremuel Jose L. Abiliana, Cluster Dean, School of Food Science and Technology, Tourism and Hospitality Management.
Can I just give a message? We are all champions. It is not the winning, but it is rather how we play the game whenever there is a game for us as a challenge in our lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chef Constance, for sharing your thoughts and wisdom this afternoon. And also to our two gentlemen who also shared the same, their thoughts and their wisdom. Agyaman kami apo, balbalig ya salamat, and that's one way of saying here in Ilocano and in Pangasinan, maraming salamat po sa inyo. Ma'am Carol?
Yes, sir. Thank you once again to our distinguished speaker. We will be sending your certificate of appreciation via email. At this point in time, may I please invite everybody for a photo opportunity together with our distinguished speakers. out prizes. Thank you very much to our distinguished speaker once again. So we will just be announcing our special award for this afternoon. I think the committee have chosen 3 of our most participative audience or participants. Sir Arnold, I'll be announcing the 3 most participative audience. So first one would be Ma'am Flordeline de Ramirez. And then the second one is Sir Alvin P. Recto. The third is Sir Kenji Alinsonorin. If you're still there in FB Live, please comment in the chat box or in the thread so our committee will be able to reach out to you. Okay, thank you very much again for attending today's webinar.
Thank you, Ma'am Carol. Ma'am Carol, could you announce the evaluation?
Yes, thank you for reminding.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
there will be our committee will be sending an evaluation in the chat box as well. Please don't forget to answer as this will be the basis for the issuance of your EAT certificates. Also later on, we will be displaying. Are we able to show it to them? The QR code, yes, that's it. Please take a picture or scan the QR code so that you will be able to evaluate. Please note that we will only wait for all your evaluation until 10 p.m. tomorrow, October 31, and please allow us at least a week to work on your certificates. Again, thank you very much. So, however, guys, in the event that there will be problems during evaluation, you may actually contact our committee headed by Ma'am Roda. Hold on, I will be telling to you that later on. Let me just go ahead and check that for you. Sir Arnold?
Yes, thank you very much, Ma'am Carol. So this event will never be complete without hearing the message from our very supportive Dean. Ladies and gentlemen, the Dean of the School of Hospitality Management, Dr. Ephraimwell Jose L. Abellana. Sir?
Thank you, Sir Arnold. Thank you. I'll be checking out to start the video. I can't open the video.
Okay na po, Dean.
Yes, okay. There. So thank you, Sir Arnold. Mabuhay and good afternoon, Patriots. It is with my great pleasure and so grateful heart this afternoon to thank all our stellar guest speakers and experts and entrepreneurs from the North in the field of facilities and design concepts, innovations, sustainability, work values, and best practices, among others, to Dr. Jocelyn Sardenia, the class advisor of this course in Advanced Facilities Planning and Design. This is our 13th webinar for the entire first semester. This series has come to an end with many learning and lessons in terms of best practices, strategies for the now and better normal, this restaurant's operations, and other properties mentioned from our esteemed speakers. I miss Baguio as well, and of course, Pinalon and Manasigi, Pangasinan too. We gained many takeaways such as love of work and support system to win every challenge, to winning. Follow the leader philosophy, resiliency, and return of investments to a company is more important. Patience, get vaccinated, provisions of government trainings and support, a clean facility and insights about food safety, health protocols, and many, many insightful words and sharings from our guest speakers. Engineer Law, sir, thank you so much. Mr. Fajulan, Sir Faj, thank you. And of course, Professor Florentine, thank you, madam. We are grateful and humbled with your presence this afternoon. Great job and congratulations to our graduate school students in the Doctor in Hospitality Management, namely Ivan, Jackie, Arnold, Carol, Gorzel, and the rest of your amazing committee. Finally, my sincere thank you to the PW Marketing Department, the PW ICT Department, and the Multimedia Center. You're also champion in our students' journey to successfully conduct our 13 webinars, our highly anticipated audience registrations, and audience share. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, and mabuhay, good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Dean, for all your support. We really appreciate, sir. We would like to say thank you as well to our professor in Advanced Facilities Planning and Design, Dr. Jocelyn R. Sardenia. Thank you very much, Doc, for your guidance. Ma'am Carol?
Yes, sir. On behalf of the Advanced Facilities Planning and Design, thank you, everyone. We cannot just thank you enough. Thank you for being with us today. To all our participants from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, we really appreciate you being with us today. And please, again, do not forget to answer the evaluation form. You can scan the QR code on your screen right now. I was mentioning about the contact information in case you get or you have some trouble during the evaluation. You may reach our committee headed by Ma'am Rhoda Austria at 2019 Tango 0855 at pwu.edu.ph. Our committee also, if you can just type in the email address in the stream via Facebook. Thanks once again. And now I think we are ready to also that, yeah, those are some of the reminders. So please join us again next time. Sir Arnold?
Yes, ma'am. So before we end, let us all now sing the Philippine Women's University hymn.
Arnold, I think we have a very important announcement to make.
Yes, ma'am. I'm still I'm still looking for that announcement before we end. So to our winners, I think there will be Engineer Law gave us additional prizes to our winners. This is a 2-night stay at Monarch Hotel in Calasiao, Pangasinan. Wow,
we have it,
congratulations.
Engineer Law. Yeah, so our 3 winners that was announced a while ago will be receiving a 2-night stay for 2, right, Sir Arnold?
Yes, ma'am. I have been there for so many times. So talagang maganda talaga yung hotel, honestly.
Can I read again the names of our winners, sir?
Yes, please, Ma'am Carol.
Yes, I'm excited, Sir Arnold, for them. Ma'am Flordeline Ramirez, Sir Alvin T. Recto, and Sir Kenji Alinsonorin. Please, again, get in touch with our organizers. You're very lucky. Thank you very much again, Engineer Law. So,
You're
I
most
think it's a
welcome.
wrap-up. Yes, thanks again, sir.
Yeah, I think mayroong sasabihin si
Oh,
Engineer Lo.
sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
I just said you're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Thank you very much, Engineer Lo. So I'll be seeing you there in Monarch Hotel and in Pedritos one of these days. So again, Ma'am Carol, please.
Thank you very much once again for joining us today, and we will see you again next time. This has been Carol Martinez.
And Arnold Ancheta. Please enjoy the rest of the day. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.